Hey guys, just tripped over this stone here. Man, look at that big rock. It's just, didn't even see it there. Didn't even see this little creek here, guys. Look at this little creek. Almost fell into the creek. I tripped over that stone. Man, it's a big rock. Well, I'm all right. Do you know what trip means? Trip means like a vacation. If you go somewhere on a trip or a business trip, have you ever been on a business trip? Okay, so that's what trip means as a noun. It's when you go somewhere on a trip. But if it's a verb, then it means to stumble over something. Imagine if there's like like if someone were to tie a rope between two trees and you didn't see it. All right, like let me walk over to this tree and give you an example. Okay, man, look at these nice trees here. Green, beautiful green. And then we've got some nice fall colors here. Man, look at this, guys. That's almost this is like kind of like a perfect fall color, eh? It's kind of got that like that yellowy. This is like when I think of the season fall or autumn. Fall and autumn mean the same thing. When I think of that season, this is the color. I think of this color. Perfect. So you guys, imagine if there was let's say there was like a this is not a good example here. What if it's maybe on this side is a better example? Nope, that's also not a good example. What am I even trying to do? What am I trying to do, guys? I don't know. Okay, so let's imagine between this bench and this garbage can there was like someone tied a rope here, and let's say I was walking here and I didn't see the rope, and then I tripped over it. That's what it means to trip. Your foot catches on something and you fall over. So now that you know what trip means, I want to teach you the word tripwire. A tripwire. What is a tripwire? A tripwire is like a hidden wire, like a rope. It could be any kind of a string type of thing. It could be like the word wire. It's like a metal. Okay, the word wire actually means like a metal string or a metal rope. Like if you look at this tree here, right? Look at this. This is wire, okay? This thing is made out of metal, like wire, okay? Wiring thing. Why do they have this? Maybe so animals don't climb up here. I don't know. Okay, so that's wire. Okay, so think about tripwire. It's a wire somewhere. Why? Why is it there? Because it's a trap. Okay, it's designed so that when you trip over it, when you trip it, that means when you step on the wire, or you step when you trip the wire. Okay, so to trip means to activate the trap. All right, so imagine if this bridge, if there's a big hole under this bridge, a deep hole, okay, and you wanted to trap me. So maybe I'm thinking this is just a normal bridge, right? But let's say there were like a tripwire here, and I walked on it and I tripped the wire, and then the whole bridge collapses and I fall into a deep pit. Okay? That would not be very nice of you. Please don't set any booby traps for me. Do you know what a booby trap is? A booby trap is like something that you don't know is there, and it catches you in like like that. It would be like a pit, like something that, you know, or maybe it's a rope that if I step onto a rope, it pulls my leg. It like tightens around my leg and pulls me up into a tree. Okay, so that would be a booby trap. Okay. Now the word booby is also a slang term for a woman's nice weather, eh? Beautiful weather outside here today, guys. Look at that. Bright sun and blue sky. Very often when people want to change the subject, they start talking about the weather. Right? So if you're ever in a situation that's awkward and you don't know what to say, you can say, nice weather, eh? Nice weather out here, eh? These little berries on here. I wonder if these berries are edible, guys. Look at these. What do you think? Do you think these berries are edible? Edible means eatable. It means you can eat it. But the word eatable is not really a word. The word is edible. Okay? So I don't know if these berries are edible or not. But let me know, have you ever like fallen into a booby trap? So what does this have to do with geopolitics? What does this word tripwire have to do with geopolitics? Well, I'll tell you what it has to do with geopolitics. Geopolitics just means the situation in the world. Big things like, you know, maybe there's a conflict somewhere in the world. You know, if we talk about Eastern Europe or the Middle East or those types, we're talking about geopolitics, okay? Some kid whining back there. Do you know what whining means? Whining means like complaining in that kind of noise. That's what it means to whine. Whine. Not the kind of wine without the H. This one has an H. Okay. The other kind of wine is a drink. Right, it's the name of a grape. It's a drink made from grapes. Okay. Well, do you like whining? Are you a whiner? So let's get back onto the path now that the whining kids are gone. All right. So geopolitics. What does this have to do with geopolitics? Well, I'm going to give you a sentence, and you tell me what it means. Okay. The USA places small numbers of troops around the world to act as a tripwire. What does that mean? What does that sentence mean? Okay, the USA places, you know, a small amount of forces in different parts like the Middle East, South Korea, Taiwan, Lithuania. What are they doing there? What are American forces? Forces means military people. Troops. Okay? Why are there American troops in places like Latvia or Taiwan or Qatar? Some people say Qatar. Qatar. I think the k sound really deep in the throat. Qatar. So, why are American forces there? They're there to act as a tripwire for other people, other nations to trip over. I mean, other nations know they're there. So sometimes a tripwire, it's not necessarily a hidden thing. It could be hidden, but I mean, so countries like China and Russia, they know American forces are in those places. But the US wants those troops there to act as a tripwire. And what that means is those few troops are there to prevent something from happening. And if something happens, then the full army, the full weight of the American military will move in for action. Okay, so let's say there, I mean, I've heard that the US has put a few hundred troops in Taiwan, I think it is. It's just a small number. I don't know, maybe there's a few thousand or a few hundred, I don't know, but it's not a very big amount. Now, imagine if China were to snatch Taiwan, right? If there was a conflict that erupted there, well, the American forces would die. And the US knows that. The US wants that. They don't want their people to die, but they want to put those there so that China knows if they take Taiwan and it results in the death of American personnel means, like, you know, work, like military personnel means military workers, like troops, right? If it results in that, then that's going to be the tripwire that evokes a bigger reaction from the US. Does that make sense? So the US has troops all over the Middle East, okay? And all those troops, they're not there to win. They can't win. Okay, so let's say a military base in, like, Qatar. If Iran wanted to take out, just to take that base out, would they be able to? Yeah, they would probably be able to, and the US knows that. But would Iran want to do that, knowing that it's a tripwire for a larger I mean, that would be a major escalation, right? Imagine the headlines: 500 US Marines dead after Iranian attack on US base in Qatar. Imagine waking up to that news story. 500 personnel. Whoa, that's a lot. All the families and all the uproar. The public would be in uproar. Uproar means they're angry. They demand action, right? We need to punish those bad people, right? So that's what tripwire means. Okay, this word is I think it's pretty much just used in a military sense. If we're talking about geopolitics, okay? So the word tripwire has a literal meaning. It means the wire that activates the trap. That's the tripwire. But in a metaphorical sense, it means the military thing, like the small number of troops in a certain place, and they're there just so that the other countries know they can't cross that line. If they cross that line, it's going to evoke a more serious reaction. So with the US having troops in Taiwan, the US is trying to send China a message saying, you better not do anything here, because if our military personnel die, or they get trapped, or if something happens, right? Now, I don't know, maybe it's just a bluff. Maybe it's a bluff. A bluff means you're fake. You're pretending that you're gonna do something, but maybe you're just bluffing, right? So imagine if the US troops were in Taiwan, right? The US puts some troops there, and then China takes Taiwan, and the US does nothing. Imagine if the US does nothing. That means the US was just bluffing. Have you ever bluffed in life? Have you ever pretended that you're gonna, maybe you've said something, maybe you've used strong words. Maybe you tell your boss, if you don't pay me more money, I'm gonna quit. And then your boss says, you're not gonna quit. I know you're not gonna quit. If your boss does that, then your boss is calling your bluff. Calling your bluff. All right? Does that make sense? So this word comes from like playing poker or other card games, right? If you're playing poker and let's say you have a really bad hand. Okay, hand means card. Guys, there's a missing cat. Ah, that sucks. Look at that. His name is Fifi. Fi-Fi? What is that name? Fifi or Fi-Fi? Fi-Fi. Poor cat. Well, guys, let's be on the lookout for a cat. A missing cat. Let's be on the lookout. If you're on the lookout, that means you're looking for something. Okay, so what are you on the lookout for, guys? You could say, I'm on the lookout for a good deal on a boat. Wouldn't it be nice to have a boat going boating on the canal, guys? Wouldn't you love to have a boat? Have you ever owned a boat? I've never owned a boat. That'd be sweet. Maybe you're on the lookout. You could say, I'm on the lookout for a boat. I want a good deal on a nice boat. I don't have enough money to afford a new one, but I'm on the lookout for a good second-hand boat. Yeah. So what are you on the lookout for, guys? I got sidetracked. What were we talking about? To get sidetracked means you get distracted by something. So I got sidetracked. We were talking about tripwire. We're talking about China and the Middle East and what else was I? Guys, remind me what I was talking about. I can't remember what I was talking about. So, yeah, so that's what tripwire means. The metaphorical meaning has to do with military. Now, could you use this in any other situation like business? You probably could. I'm trying to think of an example, maybe. Imagine if a company sets a trap for another company. You know, like, I don't know, do companies do this? It's not good to trap people. Do you ever try to trap people? I hate that idea, guys, of trying to trap people. But imagine if, let's say, a company like, I don't know, some company tries to do something to sets a trap for another company, and that company falls for the trap. To fall for means to get tricked by something. If a company were to do that, I don't know, then you could probably say, this company set a tripwire for, I don't know, guys. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure, this word, like, the reason I'm teaching you this, and the reason I make most of the vocabulary that I teach you in my videos, I hear when I'm listening to some YouTube videos while I'm washing dishes, and I hear, oh, tripwire. I'm gonna make a video about that, okay? So I've heard this word tripwire recently in a lot of situations. Used to talk about the... I hear you, dog. So I've heard this word used to talk about the American military in relation to the small number of troops that they have all around the world. Like, what other country has that? No other country does your country have a small amount of forces somewhere? Like the Chinese military, does China have a few troops in? I don't know. I know China, they probably do. They probably have some, maybe there's some, I don't know. I know China's doing stuff in the south, like near Australia, right? Some of those, like the Solomon Islands. I don't know if they have troops there around the Solomon Islands, or in Africa. I know China's really, they're the ones building all like the ports, the seaports, and the rail lines and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm sure every country has some tripwires, but particularly the US, how they have troops stationed all around the world to act as a tripwire, right? As like a deterrent. A deterrent means you want to prevent something from happening, okay? And to be stationed means you're placed there, okay? So we could say the US has stationed troops in Lithuania. And I'm sure there are troops in Lithuania. I know there are Canadian troops in Latvia. That I do know. Okay, so now, what are some Canadian troops doing in Latvia? Are the Canadian troops in Latvia gonna do anything? Are they there to win a war? No, they're not. They're there to act as like a tripwire. But what's Canada gonna do? Canada doesn't even have a strong military, guys. It's more of a joke, right? Canada's just bluffing. Canada's bluffing, guys. So let me know, have you ever bluffed? But yeah, that's what it means. So I just wanted to teach you that word, because you will hear this word if you watch YouTube videos that are talking about geopolitics. You will hear that word in English, tripwire. Okay, so on my channel, I want to teach you vocabulary that will help you understand things that you hear online, right? Because I know a lot of you don't live in an English speaking country. Maybe you live in, I don't know, where do you live? And so maybe your only source of English is watching the news in English or listening to YouTube videos in English or something, right? So I want to help you guys understand some more advanced type of English. So this is advanced. Okay, so yeah, if now you know what this word means, tripwire. That's it. That's all I wanted to teach you today. So hope you're doing great. Hope you guys are staying safe, healthy, and happy. And as always, I love you so much. Also, as always, I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.